Hey, everybody, and welcome to a special podcast. I'm really excited today because I have the opportunity to talk to one of my favorite folks on the supplier side of the business, and that's Mario Insenga. He's been with the Refinishing Touch, a company that's been around for 40 years now. But one of the things I wanted to talk to him about today, and we're going to learn all about, is not just what he does, but all the stuff that you didn't realize that they did. Sure, the Refinishing Touch may be in their name, but there are a whole lot more. And quite frankly, I've known this guy for a lot of years. We've gotten along pretty darn well, and I'm looking forward to sharing this story with all of you out there. Mario, how are you, sir?
I'm terrific. I'm just living the dream out here in Alpharetta, Georgia.
Yeah, I know you're joking, but I'm a little jealous of you folks that live out there in Alpharetta, Georgia, because I like the simple country life. It seems like it'd be a fun place to be.
Well, actually, thanks for that, but we're pretty civilized. You don't have to pack a lunch to come out or anything. There's restaurants of all varieties here, and there's nice people, and the roads are clean and dry, and everyone's very friendly. So that said, of course, I travel all over the nation, so Alpharetta is kind of a fleeting memory for me often when I'm in Vegas or I'm in LA or someplace like that.
Yeah, well, you are traveling a lot because so many companies are understanding the value of refinishing their furniture, re-engineering their furniture, and even reupholstering their furniture because they see such a value in that as opposed to going ahead and buying something new. But you know what? I've known you for years. You've been in business for years. Why don't you tell us a story about your company and what it's all about?
Geez, where do I start? I think you dated me a little bit first. It hasn't been 40 years quite yet. I think this fall, I think we're in the fall.
Yes.
But actually,
Mario, happy anniversary.
Well, thank you. But 2017 is really the actual true anniversary, in so much that I began the company kind of with a good idea and no money. In 1977, I was 27 at the time, and somebody came to me with this idea that there was great furniture inside of hotels all over the nation, and I knew how to refinish it because my background growing up was in the musical instrument repair business with my grandfather and his sons. So I was third generation in that business, and we fixed musical instruments, and that included refinishing them. So I knew all about finishes, and this gent picked up on that information, and he suggested that this was an opportunity for me as a young man to start a business.
What a great idea!
And yeah, well, it was his idea. I have to give it to the Paul Franklin, who's deceased, but what a good guy, and he was a mentor, and he sort of got me going in the hotel industry.
That's pretty wild. So, but you weren't always in the hotel industry. You had also done stuff in government. I know you've worked in some amazing projects such as the White House and Congress. But these days, you seem to be focusing a lot in the hospitality industry and bringing value to a lot of owners that are feeling concerned that they have so many exorbitant costs. And this is a way to refresh their properties, make them look great, and really take care of their guests in a new and interesting way.
Hospitality always got it. From the very beginning, hospitality was very much the bigger focus that I had because they understood the value proposition. And we moved our business into other markets like federal government as well. They don't quite get the value proposition, because it's really not their money. So it's been a little harder sell, even though we have had some pretty good success, including the EOP on two occasions, once for the Clinton administration, and the second for the first Bush administration, or the second Bush administration. So we've done the work on a variety of occasions for different people inside the building. But also, as you mentioned, we've been on Capitol Hill. We've done the Ford building. We've done business with a lot of the other agencies, including Department of Defense. We've done some work inside the Pentagon and for the Pentagon around the nation, around the world. Actually, we've actually put our operations in place in different naval installations, such as Sigonella, which is the Navy Mediterranean, and a variety of other groups that work in the European theater.
Mario, I've known you for so many years, and I really feel like I know everything you do, but I also get the feeling that hoteliers out there don't fully understand your value proposition and all of the products and services that you could bring to them. Maybe you could share a little bit about, what you do specifically beyond the obvious of just making older furniture look brand spanking new.
Glenn, we have been friends for years, and we know each other well. But hopefully you don't know everything I do. But anyway,
I keep hoping, but we keep those things off the podcast.
Right. As far as the finish, the work that we do in the industry, the hotel industry specifically, yeah, you're pretty aware of all the varieties of services and products that we actually offer to our clients, and they kind of are inclusive in the whole idea of furniture management or furniture restoration, rehabilitation, remanufacturing, etc. If you take it from the beginning, refinishing is obviously the first piece, and that makes the most sense, and that's what we started with. And then, actually the business kind of grew a bit organically because it was pretty much a suggestion often by my clients that they needed this or they wished to have that, and they wanted that to be part of the offering. So we started with refinishing, and then people came to us and said, well, if you refinish, you must reupholster, right? And of course I didn't, but I learned how and became an upholstery company and a big company.
It sounds like me. Someone asked me if I know how to do something. I say, sure, then figure it out later.
That's right. Somebody makes you a big offer or an opportunity, you say, yes, take it, and then learn how to do it and do a good job.
Exactly.
So we did that for years and years and years, along with the refinishing. And then other things came along, like remanufacturing. A big organization, Myriad, asked us to get involved in a remanufacturing process for armoires. And up to that point, we hadn't done that, but we did. We engineered it, and we got into the engineering business, furniture reengineering business, and that became a staple of our industry or of our process, remanufacturing furniture. And then other people came along with product requirements. For example, along with the modification of the armoires, people wanted stone tops. That was a big thing. So we actually sourced product out of the Asian markets, had it manufactured to specification, brought it into with a really terrific price point, that hardly anyone could touch, and we installed it. So we took responsibility for not only the actual acquisition, but also the installation process. And then along with that, the upholstery operation requires fabric. So people said, well, if you upholster fabric, you must supply fabrics.
Right.
So yeah, sure. So then we got in the fabrics industry. We own a company called Touch Textiles. And it goes on with the hardware business. People liked to when they updated the furniture, they wanted to have a selection of new hardware. So once again, I journeyed to the east and found foundries and actually invested in one where we actually manufacture decorative hardware for furniture pieces. So you have a sort of a matrix of 6 things: refinishing, upholstery, and modification or engineering, along with 3 different products, which includes solid surface materials, glass and stone, etc., and fabrics and hardware. So it all comes together as furniture. It's that's it. That you go in the room and you look at the furniture and you say, look at all the things I can do with this furniture that we own versus how much do I have to spend to replace it?
That's interesting to me. I want to talk a little bit more about the re-engineering of the furniture, though, because it seems like the years have gone by. You've had tremendous success with the armoire modifications, but that business has, for the most part, come to an end. But your re-engineering practice has really gone beyond that one step to really reinvent how furniture is presented in the room. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a whole variety of things you can do with existing assets, with existing furniture assets. In other words, when you look at them, you don't have to say, well, this is what it is, and that's what I have to keep. You actually can look at these things and say, how can I change and repurpose this piece of furniture? For example, we just completed a project for a large group that had a cabinet, which was basically a dresser with a coffee service in it, and they wanted to figure out how to put a refrigerator and microwave in it. So we went in and engineered one of the pieces, showed them how that would fit and how that would engineer it to look exactly like a factory piece. It was perfectly done. It was just an amazing transformation. Cost factors were very, very, very low. The client was exceptionally satisfied with the results. So we found a way to repurpose a piece of furniture aside from what it had originally intended to be used for. And that's just one example, aside from the TV armoire issues and other options that include bed remanufacturing, bed as a headboard remanufacturing, taking old inserts, putting new inserts in, changing the colors and so on, changing the color of the furniture itself, refinishing the furniture with a whole new custom color.
Ooh, I love that, Mario, because that tells me that you're allowed to keep up with the trends that we're seeing in color as well.
Yeah, I find it kind of confusing in a sense because I find one client on one side of the street saying, I want my dark furniture to look light, which is new. And now I see the other guy saying, I like my light furniture to look dark. So once in a while, I suggest they just trade furniture, and they're all happy. But
And the profit margin is probably pretty good if you did something like that too. But
so anyway, that keeps us in business because design kind of prompts us to move our product forward and figure out new solutions for the client.
why do you think colors and fabrics really change over time? What is it about that thermal quality that they don't really stay still for so long?
It's just it is a design consideration that has to be considered when you're looking at existing furniture assets, and that is what they can do to update the room at a cost. So, of course, fabrics are a big impact piece, whether it be carpeting and or vinyl or bedspreads, drapery, that kind of thing. Well, furniture actually comes into play as well. And so you can change the whole look of a piece of furniture by changing the fabric. And of course, our clients get deeply involved into the design aspect of that fabric. And then fabric colors change significantly from season to season or year to year through a group like Color Marketing Group, et cetera, that sort of determine the new color patterns and designs for the year to come. And so people are pretty much moving in those directions. Specifications are written based on how the CMG develops color and spec. So we, once again, are working in that area where we not only actually do the work, but we're working with the designers to come up with the best solution for the client's design requirements.
That's great, and I love that designers are finding a lot more value in what you bring to the table every single day. Because I find that designers really want to create something exciting for the owner, and then in turn for the customers that are going to be staying there. And when you could save, you've told me, 70, 80, even 90% compared to buying new furniture with refinishing it, I think that gives that designer community a lot more budget that they could work with to create some excitement elsewhere to partner with the great work you're doing on the furniture and the other refinishing stuff.
Budgets are limited. The client always puts a level playing field out there when it comes to budgetary considerations. So we've always thought the design community could look at this a little differently than they generally do sometimes, and that is to say, well, what is a fiduciarily responsible design package that I could present to the owner? Owners buy that and they eat it up. But that's because, obviously they have a fiduciary responsibility to manage the property with a margin in mind. And if they spend all this money, 50% basically of a room renovation budget is new furniture. Now, if you could reduce that 50%, think that through. So if you're spending, several $1,000s in a room to renovate it, 50% of that room budget is furniture. Now, if you could remove that number, or you can change that number and reduce it to roughly 20% or so of that particular cost, how much money do you have to upgrade other things in the hotel or in the room? You put a nicer piece of carpeting in, or you put other fixtures, better fixtures in, or you can update other things. In other words, you can spend all the budget. There's no question you can spend the budget. Right. But why spend it all just on case goods?
You got that right. Maybe make that investment in the technology aspect that's becoming so important these days.
And everyone's banging on the door for technology. So, we can do a lot of things with the dollars that are available in the budgets if, in fact, they're not just focused on furniture acquisition.
Right. Interesting. Now, when you're redoing the furniture, we briefly touched on the solid surfaces and the decorative hardware, but I'm curious as to what type of solid surfaces are we talking about? I know we're not talking about, just plastic. We're talking about what, marbles and other sorts of really high quality type of surfaces?
Well, marble is one of those things that people don't use any longer because it's really, honestly, not a good long-term solution.
That's
it
a shame,
has a lot of problems.
I was hoping to build a home full of marble, to go back to Greek and Roman days. It's depressing. All right, so what am I going to need then to build my home out of, Mario?
That's funny. Glenn, if you go to Italy, I guarantee you'll find all sorts of marble options. But in the United States here, marble really hasn't been used for quite some time as a regular standard. So a few other options besides, of course, marble, which is an older option, would be granite, which comes in many, many different colors out of the mine. However, a designer has an option to go to quartz, a man-made product, which they can then actually specify the color that they like. And so there's an option where we make granite to color. Glass has always been an option to cap furniture, wood pieces especially nicely. And of course, the old standby laminate product, which has been around forever, made by a variety of different companies that we actually do distribution for around the nation. So plastic laminates, and they've come a long way.
I do
actually,
find,
too.
I was about to say, I do find that the styles that they come in really are very different than what they were not so even long ago.
Very, very recently, actually, I've seen a huge increase, and we've been part of that driving force, telling our manufacturers what the clients are asking for in the form of color or pattern and style to cap the furniture, the tops, usually in laminate, and the manufacturers have responded very positively with some terrific solutions. We're seeing all sorts of really cool stuff that's been brought into the marketplace that really does update the look of existing furniture assets if you use them. So there's a lot of different options now for tops that didn't exist before, that basically is being once again driven by design. And here's the thing, you can get that stuff with existing furniture assets by remanufacturing the piece and capping it differently.
Right.
And it looks entirely like an entirely new piece of furniture.
And then you combine it with some of that decorative hardware, and it could really take on a new personality.
Well, the case is the case, right? So a case piece who's manufactured, that's manufactured 30 years ago or 3 years ago, pretty much is a case piece, dimensionally speaking. How you treat that case piece makes the difference in the look. You don't have to throw it away and buy a new one at an exorbitant cost to get the look that the client is wishing to have, including designers and the organizations, the larger flags that are always looking for ways to update their assets and manage those with a cost effectively.
Right. Excellent. Very interesting. But speaking about doing things effectively and, dare I say, efficiently, when we're talking about these projects, you bring you and your team out to the hotel, and a lot of times you could get a room back in service that same day?
Well, yeah, actually, there's a variety of ways to actually do operations. Operations can be done, in so many different approaches. The fact is that once these projects are set up and in motion, we actually do a multiple of rooms per day and put them back into service if the client has that schedule. So we schedule our projects and our timing based on the client's requirements, and that means putting the size crew and the particular operation together that is effective to the client's scheduling requirements. So, for example, our standard business practice is somewhere between 5 and 15 rooms every day, and they go back in the service that evening. If somebody signs off on them, they can be put back in the service because the finishes that we use are a waterborne product. There's no odor. There's no VOCs. It's very, very safe. It can be operated anywhere in the nation, inside of any building, like the EOP, for example, Executive Office of the President. You can imagine how safe those folks are.
Right.
But that said, we can actually operate, and we have operated this business inside of all sorts of buildings nationwide because it's safe. Stuff dries relatively quickly. It can actually be put into service and used that evening. No odor, no smell, no downtime. The cost factors are significantly reduced as a result of that last element, downtime. There just isn't any.
That's pretty impressive and pretty interesting. Anything else that you want to add with us today before I ask you how to tell us how to find you?
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground here, but I think that the experience element of our business is the critical piece here. This business was built over, as you now know, 40 years roughly of day-to-day, everyday operations, field operations, for people working in our own factories and in the field to really create a product. It's a service which actually creates a product. It's an interesting mix, if you will. And it comes from experience, understanding how a project is developed, how a finish, of course, within that project is developed, how the scheduling and the management of that project is managed. All those things are things that we've done through many, many years of experience. We have a system. The system works. and it works for everybody who wants to use it. It depends on their own goals, but frankly, the operational itself is a very tried and true system based on experience. So that's all I can really add. It's the method that Refinishing Touch has created. It's kind of sort of our secret sauce, if you will.
And while we didn't talk about it today, let me add that it also figures into a lot of sustainability plans. You're getting a lot of that furniture by reinventing it. It's staying out of the landfill. Plus, you don't have to cut down trees for all the new furniture. So I love that. And I think it's a really interesting proposition. And I encourage everybody here to reach out to the Refinishing Touch to learn more about the things that they could do to make your hotel seem like new. Mario, how can we find you?
Yes, please call us at any time. We have an 800 line, 800-523-9448, or just contact us at sales@therefinishingtouch.com, sales@therefinishingtouch.com. I've got operators standing by. Just look at Annie Potts' picture on our last ad.
I love that. And I feel like saying it, if you call within the next 10 minutes, we'll double your order for free.
It's just for you.
Yes. And I always wondered why people fell for that. I'm like, these commercials that people are not standing by for you to call within 10 minutes, except in Mario's case. He will be there personally waiting for your call.
Just check out the website, therefinishingtouch.com, and it's just terrific. It's well developed and it's easy to use and easy to access, and there's all sorts of ways to look and see some of the stuff we've done.
Great.
And,
excellent. Well, I love talking to you today, Mario, and I wish you the best of luck. And I encourage everybody out there to explore some successes that you could have with the Refinishing Touch. And thanks all for listening today, and we'll be back next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.